thing that you've said about them operating like the mafia and our lawsuit and the timing of this incident with Marshal Pierre. Border Patrol had installed a gate on our property made of the steel bollards for the border wall.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, let me just say real quick, a lot of times in the sectors, because it takes so long to get things approved, that a lot of times you take leftover parts from the wall or whatever, and every sector has a maintenance staff. And those guys know how to weld, and they can fix trucks and do all sorts of stuff. So they can make gates. And that's not unusual for the Border Patrol to offer to make a gate and install it. And it would be free for people who live on, within 25 miles of the border. That's normal. Is this that type of gate?
It appeared to be made of leftover parts. And it was built by Border Patrol staff, not agents in green uniforms,
Right.
but agents still with badges and their sidearms and everything. But they came out with a welding truck and all of this other stuff. So we'd have to go back even further to discuss like why at this juncture they wanted to put a gate. But this is where we'd had a sentry posted. And the sentry, who was a Border Patrol agent, kept disappearing every time
A load would go through.
Every time there would be a run, a coordinated run of yeah. And I had documented this, and I had reported it to my border community liaison, Maria Guerrero, and then on up the chain. That's a whole nother podcast. So at this location, which is on our property in between us and Fish and Wildlife, they wanted to put a gate. And basically the head of the BCL, the Border Community Liaison Program, came to me and said, we want to put up a gate here. And Fish and Wildlife's already agreed, because one half of the gate would be on their property, the other half of the gate would be on our side of the property.
Were they having issues of people driving through, like driving down that road to go pick up migrants or drugs and then driving back out? Okay, that makes sense. That's usually what they do, because it slows them down and gives the agents time. So then you put a sensor on the road, and then they'll call it out every time it goes off.
They said, do you care if we put the fence up on your property too, or this gate up on your property too? And I said, well, I don't have the authority to make that decision. I have to ask my boss. My boss is a lawyer. And he was like, no, why would we give them permission? And I said, well, because they're going to do it anyway.
That's true.
I said, so better
be nice and ask you first, but then after that.
They were going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it anyway. So I said, better we should have some written agreement with them.
Oh, smart for you. I don't think most people do that. Good for you.
Yeah, that would give us a little bit of authority or an ability to rescind the agreement or something. So we devised this agreement, we executed in 2014. When Border Patrol came and put this gate up, I mean, it was massive. And, it's made of the bollard wall steel, and the bollards lay down sideways like this, and they're on a roller.
Yeah. We'll put up a picture of it.
Yeah, it's really, really heavy. And, we've had all kinds of issues with it. It got infested with bees a couple of times. It's been hit by vehicles and broken. It was the National Guard. When they crashed into it, they hit it so hard. They not only bent it, they cracked the steel bollards.
Huh.
And then
I noticed, though, the thing I noticed is it's just very rudimentary, to me when I look at the picture. Go ahead.
The engineering was very simple, but very smart.
Mm-hmm.
They had a very large wheel that rolls those bollards back and forth, but it would get stuck or dislodged from that roller track, just like your sliding glass doors or your closet doors jump the track sometimes.
Right.
So a very
but this simple, is heavy.
very heavy, but very simple machine design. But it was placed such that if you walk up to it, your face or your chest was going to hit one bollard or the other. So if you drive up to it, it's going to, depending on your vehicle, it's either going to hit the top of your head and take the top of your car off, or it's going to hit at the base of the windshield, basically. And, you know, if you're driving at this high speed, it can be fatal, very obviously be fatal. So we asked Border Patrol about this. First of all, they gave us no design prior to installing it. So we had no opportunity to give them feedback or approve the design. Then when they put it here, I said, you know, geez, this looks like a death trap. And they confirmed for me that they designed it to be deadly.
Yeah, I'm looking at the, sorry, I was looking down. I'm looking at the National Guard truck, and you can see right where it hits is right where the hood is, the truck being taller than most normal vehicles. So if you had like a sedan going through there or something, that's going right through your windshield.
Yeah, it's going to take your head off.
Yeah.
And so.
And then looking at it too is like, I could be wrong at this angle, but it appears that there's no signage, no little reflector lights at night, or any kind of yellow paint or anything like that. So that would be pretty hard to see in the middle of the night. I mean, one would hope that you have your lights on, but I don't know, maybe you're whatever.
So we'll address nighttime and any sort of make safe, which was absolutely absent forever. But even in broad daylight, Border Patrol said, yes, we've designed this so that if we're pursuing someone, you know, they're trying to get away from us or back to the river, they're going to dump the load or whatever, they have to decide, do we hit this head on and risk?
We have to decide in 0.3 of a second. What a God.
So 1, do we hit it and die? 2, do we try to go around it into the canal? Or 3, do we stop, get out and run and scatter, where then people would probably wind up in the canal, which is deadly. The canal, the banks are not concrete. It is quicksand, right, pretty much. So
the Border Patrol admits to you that they designed it to cause harm to anybody who runs into it, whether on foot or any sort of vehicle. Okay.
Then, yeah.
I don't know what to say about that.
They designed it to kill. Or to
well, it's like
somebody...
the new 30-foot wall. It's designed to kill. It's intentionally designed. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So then we said, well, how about, you know, aren't you guys going to put reflectors or flashers or even a solar paneled, you know, street light above it? Or so the pavement ends before this gate and the bridge over the canal. And you know, they will often grade roads, yeah, like this. So they basically make rumble strips. Yeah, you know,
we had those at my station too. There's a whole road called Shockey Truck Trail, and it's just constantly the whole way down.
That's exactly right. But if you put something like that there, people would hear if they didn't see the blah, 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 blah. And right, so any of these things could have enhanced the awareness of this, safety in relation to this.
It doesn't sound like they wanted people to know it was there. Sounded like they thought the only people using that gate at night were people who were criminals. But, you know, and I have to keep saying this again, is like these buoys that are going out into the river and Eagle Pass and probably going to come to your area soon, is like, y'all think it's okay to put shit up that kills people or maims people, but it's like, there is such a thing as you are not the judge and you are not the jury of this. You get to put obstacles out and that intentionally kill and maim people. I mean, it's just,
Yeah. Judge, jury, and executioner. So
Exactly.
in August of 2017, we wrote Border Patrol CBP according to the terms of our agreement and told them we are rescinding this agreement. We are revoking your permission to have
breaking
this
up with the
here.
Border Patrol.
We're breaking
You
up.
sent them a Dear John letter.
We sent them a Dear John, get out and take your stinking bait
take
with
your
you.
shit with you, throwing it out the window. Get out, migra.
And they refused. And
just like we know the Border Patrol men to do. You won't say no to me, Missy.
They refused to remove it. We never got any response to our letters. So this is actually this gate that they designed to be lethal was it's still part of our ongoing lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security.
Really?
CBP, US. Yes, it's in the original complaint.
I did not know that.
Yes. And to my knowledge, we've still not heard anything about it, but we have proof. We sent the letter 2 ways, both requiring signatures. So we know they got the letter. They just refused to acknowledge the letter. Texas National Guard hit it in 2022.
Okay.
And those were those truck pictures you're looking at.
Yeah, I'll put them up for the
This is an Enterprise rental car, Dodge Ram 2500 that Texas taxpayers are paying for Operation Lone Star.
Well, that thing I think is total. So
look you see the tires.
I'm not an expert on what's total, but you're gonna have to pull that engine and redo the whole front end, and I don't know that the back end's worth that much.
I think the axle's out. Both of the front tires are completely flat. They hit it at a high rate of speed, and they hit it that morning doing shift change at a place where
wait, was it light when they hit it? The pictures are during the light. I know that.
Yeah, because we discovered it at 8 a.m. at a place where National Guard had been stationed for a long time. So they knew about this gate. And whoever was driving the vehicle hit it at a high rate of speed. And
I wonder if they were hurt.
When we arrived to open up and we saw this truck like that, we didn't know that it was Operation Lone Star. So we were left wondering,
is it a smuggler's vehicle or
right? Was there a pursuit? Is it a smuggler? What? But as my guys who go there in the morning to open that gate were looking at the truck and like, oh damn, look at this, and they're taking the pictures.
You're like, John, come check this shit.
That's exactly right. National Guard was on the other side of the levee. They were hanging out, not at the vehicle they had totaled. And then they came over the levee, get away from our truck. You can't touch that, back off. And my guys are like, hey, is this yours? What the hell happened? And whatever. And they're like, not willing to talk about it. So I'm like, okay, this can't stay here. And if y'all don't have a plan for getting it removed, and they won't even tell us whether they've reported it or called it in. So I, at that point, contacted the patrol agent in charge of the McAllen Border Patrol Station and said, come get this piece of shit, so we can open our gate and send somebody to fix the gate too, because obviously we're not going to be able to work it because it's bent.
So they fix the gate, and do they fix it back exactly the same way, pretty much?
Exactly the same way, but with added reinforcement. So where the truck had bent and cracked the bollards, they welded on reinforcement plates of steel.
Oh, okay. So then it would damage the next truck that does it. So who's the next person to hit it then?
The next person to hit it was U.S. Border Patrol agent Raul Gonzalez in December of 2022. He was an ATV agent who had been working that area on ATV for at least 4 years. So familiar with the area, well aware of the gate. He hit it and died, or at least that's what Border Patrol is claiming. And you know what? Once that gate was evidence in a Border Patrol agent's death, it was gone in less than 24 hours.
So the Border Patrol sent out, by then they had moved the illegal and secret and unauthorized Border Patrol critical incident teams that we would call as agents to respond first to get the evidence the way we wanted it to be when we went forward with our cases. I ratted them out, dropped a dime, as we used to say in the agency, and they have moved them to CBP under Office of Professional Responsibility, known as OPR. Now, OPR does have the authority to investigate things like this, but they are using the same agents who were just a few months prior and right before October, still covering up and using all the bullshit training they got in the Border Patrol critical incident teams that were illegal and all this other stuff. So instead of punishing these people, they legitimized them under the Biden administration into OPR. And they were the ones, according to your pictures, that now they show up instead of a logo with the Border Patrol and the critical incident team. Now they show up with a CBP logo, and they're now the evidence collection team, running around and taking pictures and all that. So then technically, I guess they could do a vehicle accident and a death investigation, but really they should have called the local PD or the sheriffs there.
Well,
did they call? Were there any sheriffs or local PD there?
There were dozens of law enforcement.
So maybe they did do an investigation, but I would bet that CBP OPR just took it. They didn't, huh?
From what we observed on site, no other law enforcement approached the scene. They all stayed back, and CBP CIT was in control of the scene. And as I've said, 8 a.m. we open, my guys arrive, they all have opening duties. One of those is to go to that part of the property and open the gates. So not only are they headed there anyway as part of opening duties, but they can see the entire road is lined with emergency vehicles, with law enforcement vehicles, with a tow truck, with a fire truck, with an ambulance, and Border Patrol as well as Mission PD and others are present. And my guys go to our back gate, which they would also open before opening that steel bollard gate. And they're like, oh man, this looks bad. And they're messaging me, it looks really bad, boss. Like, we think something really bad happened here. Like maybe somebody died. At which point we start looking for press releases and any kind of information we can find. I'm messaging Border Patrol to try to find out if someone died on site. I get no response at all. And my staff starts photographing and video recording what is happening here. And they are threatened. Even though they're on our property observing what is happening. Who threatened them? The CBP CIT agents threatened them and said, you cannot tape us, you cannot photograph us. We Bullshit. Will come. They said, we will come over there and we will confiscate your phones and your cameras, And at that point, I called the media because I wanted, if the CITs were going to come on the property, threaten my staff, take their phones or cameras or anything else, I wanted the news media present for all of it.
Yeah.
So this happens in December, and I share with the media all of our pre-existing concerns about this gate, which Border Patrol admitted to designing to be deadly, and our demand, which was not only delivered, but received, that it be removed before it kills someone.
And there had been a prior accident, and this agent had been working ATVs in that area for 4 years and obviously knew where that gate would be because he had been all over that property. And yet even he ends up running into the gate and losing his life. I hope his parents, or if he had a family, I hope they sue the shit out of the Border Patrol for this, because the Border Patrol is the one that's responsible.
Well, actually, wouldn't it be, I mean, yes, maybe the agency, but doesn't the union exist for agent safety? Shouldn't the union have been demanding?
The union is responsible as well too, and the union should be out there fighting for this agent's family. The Border Patrol union is supposed to defend the agents, but the Border Patrol union is nothing but a political tool right now, and they don't do shit for the agents, and they never have.
After this incident, some of Raul Gonzalez's family members came to see me, and I met with them, and I wanted to know, how I could help or what they wanted from me. It was a cousin and an aunt, and the cousin said that he and his brother, and Raul and his brother, were all raised by their grandparents. So yes, they were biologically cousins, but they grew up as brothers. So he's like, my brother is dead. When they told us what happened, allegedly, we demanded they show us where Raul died, show us this gate that he supposedly hit. And they brought us out here and there's no gate. And I had to explain that there was a gate, show them pictures of it.
Border Patrol had to get rid of the evidence as fast as possible.
They got rid of the evidence, but even more bizarre, maybe to me, was this family member said, we're grieving his death. We're very confused. We're demanding answers. We're standing up here on the levee where they tell us he hit a gate and there's no gate. And all the patrol agent in charge of the McAllen station is doing is bad mouthing you, Marianna, saying how bad the butterfly center is and the butterfly people, and that we should stay away from you and not to speak to you. And this family member said that he was a U.S. Marine. And he said, the fact that they were saying all of these bad things about you meant they wanted us to stay away from you and we needed to come see you.
Absolutely.
And so I haven't communicated with the family in some time, but while we were communicating, they expressed tremendous frustration at not being given any answers at all. And I keep saying he supposedly died there or allegedly was killed by hitting the fence. We had 2 trail cameras right there. One, and again, like a triangle, we had 2 on our property, one that would catch things approaching that gate, one that would get anything coming from that gate or the backside of that. And then Border Patrol had a camera on the U.S. Fish and Wildlife property right across the street, also focused at that gate. Their agents came and removed that camera from its locked box on that fence post while they were cleaning up the scene, while they were pulling his ATV out of the canal. And we took our cameras in. Our cameras were erased.
Wait, did they know that you had those cameras there?
Yes.
And the critical incident teams now under OPR did not ask you for those?
They did not ask us for them.
Or demand them?
They did not. And one of them,
doesn't make sense.
So one of the cameras around midnight catches a family of javelina running across the area, and then absolutely nothing until my guys walk up in front of the camera at 8 a.m. Not even, and these are infrared cameras. So
they would have caught a man on an ATV.
If
they can catch javelina sometime during the night, do you think that is it possible that somebody could have gotten hold of those cameras and erased part of it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything from midnight to 8 a.m. was off of those cameras.
That's bizarre, especially in that area with all the wildlife.
Well, not only all the wildlife, some nights, the cameras just have moths, hitting them all night long. But in this area where the cameras were set up, not only if his ATV hit the gate and he was there, they have to ride in pairs or packs. And even Border Patrol's own press release says his partner found him. So we would have caught the partner coming and finding him. Then we would have caught all of the law enforcement and paramedics. I mean, when we got there, there was medical trash on the ground. Who knows how long the CITs had been there, but clearly his body had been picked up and moved out by the paramedics. The press release again says he was taken to the hospital. All of that activity would have been on our trail cameras, all of it.
Did they do an autopsy on this young man?
The family was never told whether they did or not. They were told that his DNA was being saved in the event it was needed for something.
What?
They were also told that they should not speak to the press.
Oh, yeah. Same thing they did to Yvonne, huh?
Yeah.
Well, maybe the family will see this video and, think twice about it and stuff. Who knows?
But, this happens in December, and this young Black agent is dispatched in a layup operation with agents all around the property and above.
And he's told to look for you and follow you.
Just, 6, 7 weeks later.
We need to get you a bulletproof vest and a helmet.
I said the same thing.
There's my son saying, I say the same thing.
We need to get you a helmet for a lot of other reasons, but
But here again, like with the Raymond Mattia incident, the body camera video was released. The ATV agents wear body cameras, and they have cameras on their helmets. They wear helmets and goggles, and all of their helmets have little cameras on them that are infrared, that are, my understanding is, not only, eyes for the agents in the dark, but also tied into GPS. So they're getting altitude and coordinates and known landmarks and things like that. So if his equipment was working properly, he should have been able to avoid this known hazard, right? I mean,
I don't know. Because we just didn't have that kind of equipment. I hated the night vision goggles because it actually made it harder to see. It messed with my depth perception. And then once you pull them off, it's like you're blind for a minute or so. And I just hated it. I would prefer my eyes to adjust. But we never had GPS. So, they sound like Terminators now, the way they have all this stuff. But
so I just, we're not even positive that Raul Gonzalez actually died hitting that gate or died there on the road at the National Butterfly Center. And, I don't know that anyone is pressing for camera footage trail camera, body camera, helmet cam, anything to be released for any of this. But, you know, we continue to be on the ground front line to these incidents and document them. And I guess maybe that's why.
That's why you're being targeted. We didn't just say, like, we're going to put this out. It's going to be out there. You know, they watch me and everything I do. So it's going to be like, if something happens to Marianna, I'm coming to McAllen. Everybody's coming to McAllen. Everybody's going to have this video. I'm just going to say.
Yep. And you know, I wrote up the incident right after it happened. The lawyers and everybody else have it. I have email correspondence and a phone call with Marshall Pierre's father, who seemed at the time to understand how his son had been used.